911.
What is up, guys? We are back, but we are changing things up a bit from here on out. We are no longer known as Madman Pondo presents from the Mouths of Madness. Unfortunately, Madman is just a busy guy, and keeping up with this thing just wasn't too easy for him for his schedule. But we wanted to keep going and bringing you the content we've been bringing you. So we decided to bring a good friend of ours, Germ T. Ripper, on into the crew to not replace Pondo because he's irreplaceable, but to help round us out. So welcome to the team, Germ.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you having me aboard. This is very exciting indeed. Glad to be here. If anybody's wondering, my middle initial T stands for the. If you've already figured that out, you're pretty smart.
I didn't.
This is actually.
I'm not going to say you're not smart then, because I just met you. And you seem like a very nice young lady. I don't want to say you're not smart.
This is going to be interesting because Germ and I know each other, but Kelli and Germ have never met.
No. Other than the chat, a little bit here or there. Nope. I haven't. Nice to meet you, Germ.
Nice to meet you as well, Kelli.
I have also met Germ, so
yeah, Kelli's the odd lady out in this one.
It's fun. I'm sure.
How odd is she?
Pretty fucking odd. You learn that real goddamn fast.
I like that.
Yeah,
the better.
Odd duck. I'm telling you, you'll learn real fucking quick. Kelli's an odd duck.
It gets weird.
She's one of the boys. You know what I'm saying?
Like that.
But what kind of horror are you into? Like what tickles your boat? What do you normally gravitate towards?
I like everything. I'm like literally big budget, little budget, no budget, independent, cerebral horror, slasher, everything demonic, possession. The only thing that I normally don't care for, and sometimes I do care for it, but normally I don't, is like found footage films.
Okay.
I like them sometimes. I used to feel the same way, but lately, I don't know, man. I fell down a hole recently, and they're not that bad.
Which one have you watched recently that you liked?
Dashcam. Dashcam was a pretty good one.
I will second. Dashcam is awesome. It has the most unlikable main character you will ever see in a movie. Like, you will hate this woman to the fucking core, but what they do in this movie is pretty fucking crazy. They just put
it
up
goes
on what
fucking AWOL at the end.
Okay, I like that.
And it's short. It's like 80. It's like 75 minutes actually. Like, it's real short.
Perfect. Long movies are dumb. No, but with a name like Dashcam, it makes me think of that movie Spree that came out not too long ago.
I watched Spree.
Is that anything like that or no?
No.
I don't think I finished Spree.
In a way that Spree is told from like an Uber driver, yes. That's the only similarity, but this one has more to do with like demons and possession and shit.
Oh, okay, shit.
Whereas Spree was like a serial killer shit, you know?
Yeah, okay. Oh, I gotta check that out. Yeah, I'm not a huge found footage person just because I wasn't a fan of Blair Witch, and I'm definitely not a fan of Paranormal Activity. Oof,
I can agree with that as much. The first one was all right.
Okay.
For what it was, you know?
For what it was, sure.
Yeah.
That Paranormal Activity. I waited in line around a corner to get into that movie because there was so much hype about it. I sit through it and nothing happens until the end. I'm just like, oh, this is.
Now let me ask you this, Germ. You said you didn't like the Blair Witch Project. Now, did you see it with the backstory everyone had when it first came out, where everyone thought it was real and all that? Did you see it under that, guys? Okay.
Yeah, I did.
I did.
I thoroughly enjoyed the Blair Witch. I still like the Blair Witch, actually.
Okay.
I don't
know. The way I saw it was it had just come out in theaters. It was under that mystique that this is real. My friend and I were out drinking 40s in the woods, and then we went to the theater, right? And like the plan was to go back to the woods and drink some more 40s afterwards. But neither of us, we didn't want to say why, but neither of us wanted to go back to the woods somehow that night.
It doesn't sound like a good idea.
We just weren't feeling up to it. So
Maybe not, man.
Footage in the woods after the witch is gonna get us.
So I don't think actually they revealed that it wasn't real till like 6 months to a year after it came out.
Yeah, there was a lot of like there was a documentary. I think it's on Tubi right now. Like I think I recently or Ethan had it on or whatever. But there was a documentary that they made like right after it that kind of like followed up the whole hype of it, you know? It was like a documentary on what were the woods called? I don't remember.
The Pine Barrens.
But yeah, it was like a documentary on that area and the Blair Witch, and it was made to look all real. I don't know, and it did. It kind of made the hype like so much more.
But like people believe that it was real, even though
for
it was
sure.
Yeah.
Playing in theaters is the movie playing in a theater.
I was a teenager in the 90s. You know, so like this is what I guess under when you see it under that guise, it has a bit of a different effect on you. You know,
it has to be like a suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
Plus, it was like one of the first popular found footage movie. You know, it's not the first found footage movie, but it was definitely like the first big popular one. So that was like new at its time too.
Because I don't think like anybody even recognized films like Cannibal Holocaust as being a found footage film until like
it was
that terminology was put out into the universe, found footage film.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was even a movie that came out right before Blair Witch that took place in the Pine Barrens about the Jersey Devil called I reviewed it like a couple episodes back. What the fuck was that called? But anyway, it was
your title. Fuck, I reviewed it a couple episodes back.
Yeah, it's a long-winded. It's a bit of a mouthful, and it didn't really fit well in the spine of the DVD. But you know, they went with it. And I give them points for that, for being courageous, you know, and just saying, oh, fuck it.
Very meta.
Last Broadcast. That's what it was called. The Last Broadcast. You can watch that familiar. On Tubi.
That does sound very familiar.
But it's basically, you know, like guys go out in the woods. They have a public access show about spooky shit. Go out in the woods looking for the Pine Barren or looking for the Jersey Devil, and then they don't come back alive. And it's like this documentary crew trying to figure out what happened to them. And it's very similar to the Blair Witch. It came out right before the Blair Witch, but it got overshadowed by the Blair Witch. I just thought that was kind of interesting, you know.
Now, if you would have just stopped at a bunch of guys going to the woods, I would have been I went totally on board right there.
It's not that kind of movie, Germ. But hey, you know what? It could have happened out there. You never know what happens with dudes alone in the woods, you know.
That's why you love the woods, right?
Absolutely.
I love the woods. That's kind of why I love the
woods. You just hope to see guys doing each other in the woods. Free show.
Hey, that's how I found my first porno mag, was wandering around the woods as a kid, okay?
I know, right? Like, how did that happen? It was like the 80s or 90s where like you would just find random porn in alleyways in the woods.
Or in like old sheds. Like say you found like you're traveling around the woods and you find like an old shed. There's always a drawer with some fucking old ass porn in it, you know?
How did that happen? It was like magic. It was like a magical time in the world where porn just appeared.
And I grew up in the country too, like who's sitting in this fucking little cabin in the middle of a field jerking it to some like
somebody that can't sit at home and jerk it, Kelly?
Yeah,
they had to get their little.
It's probably another kid that fucking snuck them out there.
Like
they found their dad's porno. They were like, where can I go be alone and do my business? Go out to just find this shed, go glaze something, leave the evidence behind. Don't want to get caught with that after the deed is done. And then you ended up stumbling upon the leavings.
Oh.
Then the witches eat his toes.
I mean, you know, Kelly, if you remember, this is not the first time we've talked on pod about how a lot of men's first experience with porno is finding magazines in the woods.
That's true. That's true. We have had this conversation before.
It's not fresh.
Germ, did you fall under this too? Was your first experience of porno the woods?
I want to say it wasn't. You know, I'm much more. No, I shouldn't say much more. I am 99.9% more into guys. So
that doesn't mean you didn't find porn in the woods,
right? But I'd be like, I don't want to look at that.
I understand, but did you find porn in the woods? If I found porn that wasn't to my liking, I would still found porn.
I remember finding beer in the woods, and I still drank it because it wasn't open.
Nice.
Yeah, it was
Probably warm though.
Just piss warm woods beer.
Well, I grew up in New Hampshire, so
Okay.
it was cold there all the time.
All
There
right.
you go.
It was cold no matter what.
That was probably a kid that was stashing his beer too because he couldn't take it home.
Right? No, but I remember looking at my brother's Hustlers because they were the only ones that like showed both men and women together, and that's the time I would be able to look at schlongs because they would be there.
You just block out the girl like, look at that.
Maybe that's why I'm a little bi, because I always looked at straight porn growing up.
When you turned on, there were still boobs there.
Right. I'm like, it's okay. I'll look at the boobies. I'll look at them, I guess. And then even better is like, every once in a great while, they would have normal looking guys with fat guts and hairy chests. And now that's what got me going. Real man.
Them's the ones.
Them's the ones. Yeah. He likes the dad bods.
Yeah. Or granddad bods, even.
Granddad bods. You like them geriatric and round?
Yeah. Keep me away from the nursing home, because I'm going to get me a gum job.
Keep the dentures out, Gramps.
Yeah. Lay your head over the bed. Lay your head over the mattress. I'll do all the work.
Oh, shit. Well, to change gears on that. So earlier in the week, I got to go see Claudio Simonelli and Goblin perform the Suspiria soundtrack. That was pretty fun. It was at like a really weird old vintage theater, and Claudio would dress like I would describe an aging gay magician. A lot of sparkles, like big wide. He had a lot of sass going on in that keyboard. I'll tell you what, it was really funny. Because like he looked like he should have been playing Calliope music or whatever. Calliope music. We had like the piano and the horns. Yeah, and shit. But in the background, there's all this Dario Argento shit going on, and he's like smiling in a big sparkly vest. It was quite hilarious. And the staff of this place couldn't have been more confused because they had no idea who he is. The place is sold out. The crowd is weird. Like it goes from old guys that are bald on top of ponytails to like kids in battle vests to like book nerds. And they're all just like coexisting. And then out comes this really weird band where like the drummer's like 22, the bass player's like 32, the guitar player's like 40, and then the keyboard player is like 60. So like them being together shouldn't make sense on paper. And then they start playing this really weird instrumental keyboard music with extremely violent shit going on behind it. It was pretty odd to watch them react to it, but I had a great fucking time. It was definitely worth checking out.
Hell yeah. Yeah,
I'm kind of jealous that you.
Yeah, me too. I really wanted to go to that.
I've always wanted to go see them. The closest I've seen to something similar was when John Carpenter was traveling with a live band.
That'd be dope.
Yeah, I saw that the first time he came around. It was one of the greatest live music experiences I've seen.
Hell yeah.
A little extra for the VIP, the meet and greet shit. And he was very pleasant to his fans, which was not what I'd heard beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing.
He's known as being a bit of a gruff fellow.
Yes, indeed.
Carpenter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then another concert, another show I went to that was kind of similar in tone was I saw composer Fabio Frizzi do the music to different Lucio Fulci films, specifically The Beyond, which was really intense too. But I've never seen Goblin. So
it was cool. Goblin did the whole soundtrack to Suspiria. So they played they played the film and they were kind of like just underneath it. They didn't have a lot of light on them. It was kind of weird though, because you could tell they were super over it because there's only 3 songs in that soundtrack. There's just like 3 variations. And you could tell like they'd sit down on chairs and just wait for their time to come, and they'd play their thing and they'd sit back down, and they had monitors. You could tell they're just like,
That's
and
awesome.
then after that they took the monitors away and they played all the themes from Dawn of the Dead. They played the theme from The Card Player for some reason, like anyone gave a shit about that movie. They played some songs from Tenebrae, which was cool. They did play the Halloween theme because it was the day after Halloween, so they hit some Carpenter there. That was cool to see. And then they played a couple originals, which were, whatever. It was a cool,
what you're there for, but it's all right.
Yeah, it was a cool night. Met some real fun people. Like a lot of like-minded folks. Talk some horror. It was cool.
Hell yeah. No, I didn't do a lot exciting this week. On Halloween, I did the pass out candy thing, and me and my pug were Pennywise and Georgie. The pug was, yeah. I'll have Peapod throw up a picture of at least the pug, but I don't know.
No, you got to throw up the Pennywise too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have Peapod throw up a picture, but it was good. Other than that, that was my Halloween. But
did you keep track of how many trick-or-treaters you got?
No, I wish I would have. I got a shit ton, and I ran out of candy. So
she lives in a good neighborhood for it. I do not get trick-or-treaters because I live on a really creepy road. There's only two other houses on it, and I'm the only one that lives on this road.
Yeah, for living in Chicago, I live in a nicer neighborhood. So like kids come from all over the city. We got 515 trick-or-treaters.
Wow.
We stocked candy for like a month ahead of time because
man, I had a shit ton of candy. I was stocking up for like a good month every time I went to the store, but I ran out early too. Like I wish I would have counted, but there was a lot. Yeah. For sure.
We learned our first year. We ran out our first year living here. We lived here about 7 years now. We had, I think, like 7 of those huge bags from Costco and then 2 boxes of full candy bars. So, like, if somebody had a specially good costume, they got a full candy bar.
You hit them with a full boy?
Yeah. Let them know.
That's good shit.
Right?
That's good shit.
Trick or treat. You said Happy Halloween. You said thank you.
You hit the one kid with the full candy bar, then you look at the other one, give him a fun size, like try harder next year.
I did. I literally did. I had one kid be like, "Well, what about that?" I'm like, "You got enough. Go to the next."
But listen, I don't know what this bullshit you put together here is, but it ain't full size worthy.
Right.
I had 2 kids come up and sing the whole "Trick or Treat, Smell My Feet" song. I gave them extra candy. I was like, "All right, you get extras for that." They were all excited.
Yeah, I would totally hook them up for that.
When I ran out of candy, I had there were still kids coming, and I was like, all right, I gotta shut down soon. So I just grabbed some cans of pop, and then the one kid runs from my house with the can of pop in the air, like, I got pop, and I'm like, no, kid, no. About to shut it down.
Shut it down.
He just announced to the whole neighborhood. It's like that Johnsonville Brats commercial.
Yeah, it's funny.
We're from the Midwest. We call soda pop.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you knew that out in Chicago.
Oh yeah, no, it's the same thing. But I grew up in New Hampshire, like I was saying before, so I still call it soda. But,
yeah.
Okay.
I'll say soda pop. I'll use both. I don't want anybody to get offended.
Us Midwesterners and our Midwest slang.
Yes.
I'm sure the listeners get kind of confused by it though. Like, what the fuck did you talk about pop? That's just what we call it out here, though.
You guys do we have a lot of listeners?
We do.
We started getting. They're getting there. We're getting more.
We do all right. We do all right for what we do.
Building.
Okay.
Yeah, we enjoy it. They enjoy us. We got a good thing.
I'm a great hype man, so I'm excited about this.
Hell yeah.
We're gonna have to get you a big clock. We'll give you the fucking Flavor Flav to you.
I gotta get us a new logo.
That you can do.
And then I can sing the theme song with my tambourine.
I got a fish maraca. I got a fish maraca around here somewhere. We could get like a whole mariachi thing going on.
Hell yeah,
I think I have a washboard too.
The short period of time that I was,
I got some spoons.
I was doing a wrestling personality for independent wrestling. I would come to the ring with a tambourine. So I definitely have my tambourine ready.
I love it.
Yes.
What have we been watching this week, guys?
You want to start? I don't know who's going first.
Why don't you go first, Kelly?
You want me to go first?
Yeah. What have you been watching?
Me? All right.
Are you Kelly?
I am Kelly.
No, yes.
right. This week I stumbled across a new one on Amazon Prime. Run, Sweetheart, Run. This one was a fucking hoot, man. Very fast paced. It's about this girl. She's, got a new job in a lawyer's office. She's trying to move up. Her boss can't make it. She's like a secretary or something. Her boss can't make it to this dinner that she apparently double booked. And instead of losing the client, she goes and meets the guy for the dinner. Well, her and this dude like really fucking hit it off. Like they're really getting into each other and shit. She goes back to his house after the dinner date. And then she just instantly, like you hear a bunch of commotion. She just runs out like bleeding and just like keeps fucking running. The whole rest of this movie is a fucking chase. It's all like a really fast paced chase. And I don't want to go too into detail without, I didn't want to go too into detail without because it turns into something that, you don't really see coming. It's great. I don't know. The way it's done, it's gory, it's funny, it's super fast paced. And the way it's directed, shit'll get intense and it'll just say run across the screen. So I can't talk tonight. It'll say run across the screen. And that's when
don't worry, Kelly. You don't really have to be able to talk to do a podcast.
Oh, man. Yeah, man. Without going into too much detail on this one, it's super fun. I highly recommend it. The end, I don't know. The end was a little... You make your judgment of that. I enjoy this. I'd give this 3 stars,
That out of 5?
3 out of 5. Yeah.
3 out of 5. All right.
Yeah, 3 out of 5.
Are you on Letterboxd?
I am.
Okay.
I am, but I haven't used it that much yet. I'm kind of starting to.
I use it constantly, so if anything I've watched will get logged on Letterboxd, you can add me at the Suplexorcist.
Nice.
I think
I'm the nerd that I when I start watching the movie, I put it at 3 stars, and it will go up or down as I watch the movie.
That's not a bad idea.
And then that is the final score.
I need to start writing shit down and rating them right after I watch them, because then I get a little oh yeah, I forgot about that fucking part. But this one's good, dude. I'd highly recommend Run, Sweetheart, Run. It was better than I expected it to be. It turns into something that you didn't really see coming. It's funny. It's fast. It's I don't know.
Very cool.
I did the early rating on Letterboxd today when I watched the Weird Al movie. There's a pool party scene that had Pee Wee Herman, Tiny Tim, Divine,
Frank Zappa,
Wolfman Jack, all these fucking people. And by the time it was done, I was so in tears laughing. I was like, I don't care if they don't even land the boat with this thing. It gets 4 fucking stars right now.
I really need to watch that movie. I've always been, I think every nerd has been a fan of Weird Al. So,
well, it's not, they do it very straight faced, but it's not an actual biopic. It's a parody of a biopic. Oh, it's so good.
But a music artist who built his career on creating parodies of pop songs, if he'd done a literal biopic, I think that would have been much more of a failure than a biopic by a guy who does parodies is genius.
Yeah.
But they also, the humor is very abundant, but they play it straight faced, which makes it even funnier.
I love
and
that.
Rainn Wilson as Dr. Demento was fan-fucking-tastic.
The polka party.
The polka party. Oh, we got off topic on horror because I'll just say this: go watch fucking Weird, the Al Yankovic story. It's goddamn entertaining and shit.
It's on the Roku channel.
Well, Daniel Radcliffe has done so many amazing things, in the past few years. He just went off the charts with Guns Akimbo and shit like that. It's just
Swiss Army Man.
Swiss Army Man. Oh, yeah,
I love that.
Yeah. I wasn't a huge fan of horns because whenever you try to shove a novel into a 90-minute movie, it's not going to translate as well.
Yeah.
But
I respected it for what it was. It was definitely a big swing for Harry Potter to do.
Sure, and I think that was the first thing he did coming out of that.
Yes.
But everything he's been doing, he's been either really weird or really controversial, and I
like it.
Love that about him. Yeah.
Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah, go from little I'm Harry Potter to I've got guns stapled to my hands and I'm just gonna shoot everybody.
That movie rocked. I
I'm
love
farting
Guns
a dead
Akimbo.
body across the water. Or writing a fart
across the land.
So the first movie I'm going to talk about, this one it was odd for me. It's called Wounds. It stars the cannibal Army Hammer. 2019. I watched it on Hulu. This one, like the setup was really cool and a lot of cool shit happened, but I noticed it's getting a lot of flack on Letterboxd, and I think it's because the ending is so fucking abrupt and unsatisfying. So like the setup is Army's a bartender in Louisiana. He's a bartender in the French Quarter at this shitty bar called Rosie's. And a fight breaks out in his bar. He ends up having to kick all the people out. And after the fight, he finds a phone on the ground and he just, sticks it in his pocket. He's like, customer lost it. They come back for it. I'll give it to him. Goes home, ends up finding all this crazy shit on this phone where these teenagers had like dabbled with the occult. And there's all this like violent shit on the phone. Like there's this decapitated head that they got talking and all this shit. The cockroaches are a constant theme in this thing. It gets pretty creepy. Army does a good job at acting, even though we'll never see him in a movie again because, he's a fucking weirdo and likes to eat people. Supposedly.
Allegedly.
Well, he's a scummy dude. I watched that whole series about him. But anyway, I can separate the person from art,
The art from the artist.
Yes.
It was good. It felt like it was really getting going, and then it ends. And it ends at the most intense scene in the movie. Like something crazy is happening, and then boom, credits. And I think that's what really pisses people off. And it doesn't really spoon feed you the story at all. It gives you like a bunch of puzzle pieces. It's like, here, figure it the fuck out. So in that vein, I can see why a lot of people hate it. The ending did bug me. I was not satisfied by the ending, but up to the ending, I thought it was a good movie. So I'd give this thing like 2.5 out of 5. Excuse me. I would definitely, I definitely will see if people will either love it or hate it. I thought had they kept going another 15 minutes, it probably could have really stuck the landing, but the way they ended it was really fucking weird. It goes into some like Lovecraftian body horror stuff. I don't know. It's not for everybody, but it's worth a watch, just a tepid watch. So that was Wounds on Hulu.
I've almost watched that a couple times.
What you got, Germ?
Everything you said, though, just checked a whole bunch of boxes for me. I'm like, Lovecraftian doesn't explain things. I love that.
Go into it. Like you might like it, but I'm saying
when a film treats its audience with like, oh yeah, you're smart. You can figure this out on your own. We don't have to freaking Fight Club you over the head with the, explaining the whole thing out to you. I like that. I like, having to go a week or a couple of weeks being like, what exactly did that mean?
Yeah.
Was it a metaphor? Is that really what the filmmaker was trying to say? Or is there some sort of deeper meaning? I love that. If you are thinking about a movie after you watched it, that means there's something.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about it, and I would like you to watch it, Gerb, and maybe give your opinion on it next time we talk. Because, like I said, I didn't hate it, and it was creepy, and it was really building and going somewhere. But where the end comes, it really like brick walls you. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
And like right when something intense is going on. But you might like it. I've seen people that have loved it, and then other people are like half star. So it's definitely not a half-star movie. It's shot really well. It's acted really well, except for the girl that plays his girlfriend. I think she was in a fucking like Robitussin coma through this whole fucking movie because she just every delivery is like he breaks up with her and she just goes, okay, well, do you want me to be upset? You're breaking up with me. And like that's like the whole tone of it. And it's like, show some fucking emotion. Do something like that. She's like that the whole movie.
I can relate. For a short period of time, my doctor had me on citalopram for my anxiety, and the citalopram makes you like that exactly. Oh wow, oh well, Okay. It's very, I'll just shrug it off. No big deal. Glad I'm not that anymore, though, because it did cause physical pain throughout my body.
That's not good.
Yeah, now I'm on sertraline, which is much better.
Escapram here.
Huh?
Escapram here.
Oh, okay. I don't know that one. Very exciting.
It's generic Lexapro.
Okay. I'm going to talk about another movie that came out in 2019. We're going to keep a 2019 theme going here.
Okay.
My dog's barking. I'm going to shut the door real quick. So yeah, 2019, a no-budget film. I found it on Tubi.
I love Tubi.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can find on there. There's some really weird, obscure shit that I found on there that I later bought on Blu-ray, which was harder to find. But this one is called Girls Just Want to Have Blood.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and I want to say that the original title I would have actually liked better. It was called, I think, Blood-Sucking Teenage Bimbos. And I was like...
That's much better.
Yeah. I mean, I like both titles, but the original is better.
Almost has a trauma vibe.
It
kind
of did, but
title it for sure.
It was just like it encapsulated a lot of things I liked from 60s and 70s exploitation. So like, there's a girl gang, which brought to mind Russ Meyer's films. Like Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. But the girl gang is all vampires. So that turns into like gory, over the top, ridiculous gore really quick, which made me think of Herschel Gordon Lewis's films. But the acting was very stiff. It's very kind of like campy. So that made me think of John Waters' Female Trouble. So John Waters, Herschel Gordon Lewis, Russ Meyers. I was like, I love this crap.
Yeah.
I didn't go into it expecting to like it. I'd seen one of the people I follow on Twitter post a clip, and it was actually like a show that they're watching in the movie, but it's like a porno that they're trying to learn how to kill female vampires by. And it made me laugh so hard that I had to watch the movie.
They're learning how to fight vampires by porn?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing. I can't recommend. I recommend Girls Just Want to Have Blood so much. If you just want, cotton candy, nothing to really think about, just a fun, stupid movie to watch. It's great.
Yeah, it sounds great. You said you watched it on Tubi?
Yeah, it was on Tubi. And I actually found the director on Twitter because I started ranting and raving about how great it was, and he's like, "Oh, well, thank you. You've prepared me to
ask if he wants to come on sometime."
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
do that. I love doing things like that. I used to go to all the film festivals and stuff in Chicago, and like the Cinepocalypse one was my favorite because I'd meet all the producers and directors and writers, and it was more about networking than actually enjoying the movie. But I was still a little fanboy, being like, "Can you take a picture with me?" Because there'd be like when the Wolfman has nards.
Yeah, but you're like that with everybody, though.
I really am, legitimately, with my friends. Hey, what?
Yeah.
With me? Yeah. So,
what would you give it out of 5 stars?
Oh, 4.5.
4.5. All right.
Yeah, because to me,
definitely check that out.
If a movie is fun, that's more important to me than like it being like an excellent film. Like Citizen Kane, yeah, that's the greatest movie ever made, sure. But is it fun? No.
Sure. Really. My favorite movie is Frankenhooker, so you're in good company.
Oh, I mean,
mine's The Burbs.
Henenlotter is a genius.
Yeah, I've reached out to him a couple times to get on the show.
Yeah, he's a hot piece.
Mm-hmm.
I met him once.
You want to crack open Henenlotter? Is that what you're saying?
I would, totally.
You want to crack that ass open like a head of cabbage?
Yeah, I bet you like his butt is kind of cottage cheesy, and I'm okay with that. He's probably in like the 60s or 70s by now, and he has a right to
Jesus.
Right to
he's probably about late 60s. Yeah.
Well, all right.
His butt might take behind, but it'd still be a good Good time.
Jesus Christ.
There is no Jesus Christ here.
Only Landon Lauder's a-hole.
On that note, I'm going to go into my next movie. But my next movie is on Netflix. It's 2021, A Classic Horror Story. I have almost watched this a couple times, but like I said earlier in the chat.
Dumbass name.
Like, yeah, I don't know. Like the cover just kind of looked cheesier than what it was. I enjoyed this one. It was pretty fun. And the name makes sense after you watch it. It basically follows these kids. There's they're taking like a ride share sort of ride through up to Italy. They're all going different places. The movie starts out, the guy that's giving the ride, I forgot his name, but he's kind of like
Bill.
filming all the kids like on his phone, like, hey, what's your name? Where are you from? And he's kind of acting like he's saying it's for his social media or whatever. And then he goes and tells him that he's a filmmaker and he likes to make like horror films and stuff like that. So, you know, as they're driving, he's got a fridge in the back and he's like, hey, crack, are you guys thirsty? And like they all start getting drunk in the back. The one girl gets sick and they pull over. One of the other kids that was drinking in the back, he's like, I'm driving now. So like he's driving, drunk driving, obviously runs off the road, and they all wake up like that dude's injured as fuck. They're far as fuck from a road. They can't find a road anywhere. So why are you laughing at me?
That dude's injured as fuck. Yes, go on. I am laughing at you.
Got,
go
like,
on.
Shit coming out of his leg. I mean, this got pretty decent gore. And they stumble across this like cabin and shit. As the like night goes on, it seems like they wake up out of the blue. Like it seems like they don't remember falling asleep and shit, and then just wake up and there's like these weird cult people surrounding the house and these red light, like picking them off one by one and murdering them. I don't want to go too much into detail after this. I mean, it does. It takes a turn. This movie's got good gore. The name actually makes sense. It's very satirical and in a way, like there's
like Satanic Panic or something.
A lot of like cliche kills, like shit that you've definitely seen in other horror movies. But that also makes sense for the ending. And I can't go into too much more without giving shit away, but it was good, man. I'd give this one like a 3.5. I thought it was more fun, and I'm like, surprised I didn't watch it sooner. Like I put it off because it did look really cheesy. The name's cheesy, and I don't know. It all makes sense for why it's like that. Like they did a good job at doing it. It's kind of like a satire of like your classic horror movies. And it's
like Cabin in the Woods was?
In a way, not really, though. They do it different.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Check it out. It's on Netflix. 2021, A Classic Horror Story. I didn't hate this one at all.
It's in Italian? Is it in Spanish?
It is Italian, yep.
Okay.
But it's dubbed.
Oh, it's dubbed? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind.
The girls are speaking. It's definitely dubbed.
I'd rather read it usually.
Yeah.
A lot of times you get lost in like a little bit lost in the story because they try to line up the dub with the lips as opposed to convey all the information, you know?
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind some Godzilla dubbing.
I looked up the director and the writers, Roberto De Feo and Paolo Strapoli. It seems like they're like relatively new to film. So I've never their lists on IMDb were really short. And both of them seem like they've only done maybe 1 to 2 movies, but it was good. I liked it. I'd like to see more from them.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You done?
Yeah. I think so.
All right. So earlier in the week, Kelly and I had a movie night. We watched one of the movies we watched was Alone in the Dark, 1982. Starring Jack Palance, Donald Pleasance, Martin Landau, Lynn Shay. I had never seen this one. We both kind of went in blind. This movie was pretty bonkers. It was a little all over the place. It's basically geriatric old crazy men trying to murder people that break out of an insane asylum. So you get Jack Palance and Martin Landau playing crazy, and it's fantastic. Like Jack Palance playing crazy was great, and then Martin Landau thinks he's this preacher, and he likes to burn down churches with people in it and stab people with knives.
And then you got Donald. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then you got. I know where you're going to go with this. You got Donald Pleasance, and he's basically playing the prequel to Dr. Loomis.
Yeah, for sure. Like he's a psychiatrist. He like the same. He's basically Dr. Loomis, man.
He's a psychiatrist that works with crazy people at an insane asylum, and when they escape, he's one of the guys that comes after them. Like,
yeah,
it's
and
Dr.
nobody's
Loomis
believing him.
again.
Just like Michael Myers, like, oh, it's fine. How
But he's not Loomis. He's Leo.
Yeah, Dr. Leo.
Like everything you said about this film, I feel like I've seen it, but I don't think I've ever seen it. It seems very.
You would remember if you've seen this one.
Okay, it feels like I should have seen it, but I don't think I have.
It also, oddly enough, has a killer in a hockey mask pre Friday the 13th 3, which was interesting. Only by like a small amount of time. But there's 4 escaped mental patients. You have a fat child molester. You have Martin Landau, who thinks he's a preacher that likes to burn down churches and stab people. And then you got Jack Palance, who, what was his thing? He was like the leader, and he liked shooting people with crossbows and guns. And then there was another guy they just called the Bleeder, and he didn't like people seeing his face. So he would wear a hockey mask. But he was called the Bleeder because why he killed people, he'd get nosebleeds, which will come into play later. But basically, it's like a stalk and slash with all these old geriatric men and this fat pedophile in this house while the power's out. It's a really weird movie. It's pretty fucking entertaining. They just added to the Shudder. I'd recommend it. The ending is hilarious. The way that they fucking ended this movie was so fucking batshit bonkers. Like, I looked at Kelli. I was just like, "What the fuck? Did they really just end it like that?" So I'd get a sing like 3. It was a lot of fun. Like half the time it was just like crazy old guys in a van cruising around town killing people, and it was pretty fun. So yeah, definitely recommend Alone in the Dark.
Yeah, I'd give it a 3 too. I think I agree with the 3. It's definitely entertaining. Guys, totally worth a watch.
With your stars, give those stars away.
The thing is I don't go above 4 unless it's like
unless it makes you come.
Yeah, like I think Empty Man was probably the last one I went 4.5.
No, I don't remember. You know what? A lot of my
no. Vicious Fun. Some of my ratings I give out, I might like say one thing now and then think more about it later and be like, no, I'm giving it this, and like rate it. I don't know.
That's like me. I readjust my score on.
Yeah.
On the fly.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you got, Germ?
Once again on Tubi. 2019, a film called Thirst. Lots of movies called Thirst about vampires, but this one is from Iceland, I believe, and it's about a gay vampire. And it's got great gore, amazing gore, all practical effects, of course. A lot of penises getting ripped off, which I always find hilarious.
Terrifier 2 had that.
Can we not mention that?
There was one I seen on Shudder too.
So boring.
Good boring scene.
Yeah. I mean, I liked the gore and the violence in Terrifier 2, but I mean, come on, the magic sword and the little sidekick girl, come on.
I will say I love Terrifier 2, but they could have cut off like almost an hour of that movie, and it would have been the same movie. It
would have been a lot better because I love the first one. But,
anyway, go on.
Yes, gay vampire drinking people's bloods through their penis, and then this woman, she's an addict, I think heroin addict, like defends him from 2 thugs that are trying to steal his money, and so then he decides that she's his new best friend, and she's upset that her brother's dead, so he brings the brother back to life. It's very funny. And since it's from Iceland, it's got closed captionings. But like, if you said you don't mind that, it's I think I didn't know that it was a foreign film when I first saw, gay vampire and with lots of gore. I was just like, I'm in. I gotta check that out. Yeah. So I don't want to ruin anything more about it, but it's a lot of fun to watch. Highly enjoyable. And I always appreciate queer characters in horror films where they're not like always like flamboyant or getting killed off right away or whatever the case might be. So having one,
or it's not like a gimmick.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a gimmick in this, but he's not wearing like pink and sequins, and he's a fucking vampire who rips off dicks, and it's great. It's great.
Hell yeah.
So definitely highly recommend. 3.5. I'll go with 3.5. Why not? I'll be a little stingy with my stars on this one. I'll pull it back. 3.5. Watch Thirst on Tubi.
All right, you, Kelly.
Oh, it's me already? All right. This one was a newer one, and I was kind of waiting for it. I was more excited for it than it was a little bit of a letdown, but it wasn't bad. This one is 2022 Monstrous, that new Christina Ricci movie. It's on Showtime right now. Directed by Chris Silverton. He also did All Cheerleaders Die, and that one that had Lindsay Lohan in it years ago. It was like, I know who killed me.
I know who killed me.
Yeah. He directed those. This one's basically Christina Ricci and her mom, is a mom, and her and her son are moving to California, which seems like she's getting away from like an abusive old relationship. She's definitely running from something. Her and her son find this new house, this beautiful house on a lake to rent from this old couple. And like almost instantly when they move in, the kid starts seeing shit. She's hearing sounds. You think the house is kind of haunted, and you keep seeing this like monster come from the thing. From the lake, I'm sorry. For the lake behind the house. It's okay. You kind of see where this is going really fast. They advertise it as one thing, which without giving it away, it's not that thing. Like they definitely
the old bait and switch.
Little bait and switch here. It was decent, but like I said, it was really predictable. It all takes place in it looks like it takes place in the 1950s, and that has a lot to do with like the storyline. It was okay. I'd probably give it a 2. And I'm not just being stingy with my stars on this one. I would honest 2.5 at most, just because it was kind of a letdown. It was beautifully filmed.
I've heard that.
But the predictability of it was just too I can see instantly where this is going, Although it was decent. It's more of a psychological horror, but it was okay. 2.5. It's worth a watch, but that's all I have to say.
That's pretty much what I've heard about that movie is it's okay.
Yeah, that's basically
that's all I've heard from everybody.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's a movie.
Yeah, you automatically get 1 star from me just for Christina Ricci, but that's just me.
Yeah, and it's pretty, it's filmed well. It's just meh. It's just a meh one,
All right. So one of the other movies Kelly and I watched, I had already seen it before, but Kelly wanted to check it out. This is a found footage movie.
Yeah.
So it might not be up your alley there, Germ, but this is Deadstream 2022 by Joseph and Vanessa Winter. This one's a lot of fun. On paper, I should not like this movie. Like, I hate YouTubers. Like, I don't really watch a lot of that bullshit. I find it obnoxious, yada, yada, yada. So it's a YouTuber who's going to go, he's disgraced, who's finally got monetized again, and he's going to go stay the night in this haunted house, stream the whole thing, and if he leaves, he doesn't get the money for the stream. He's got to lock himself in there. So he goes like great lengths to make sure he can't leave. He throws his spark plugs out of his car into the woods. He gets in there, padlocks himself in, and then throws the key down the vent.
Of course, and then fuck him later.
Well, of course, yeah. That's what it's setting up for.
Sorry.
And he's streaming, much like Dash Cam. There's like a side chat the whole time, or host, so you can kind of like see people roasting him or talking shit on the side. He's kind of interacting with those people. This is more of a horror comedy, but it does go like, for lack of a better description, a little Evil Dead in this fucking thing. Like it's not just like bumps and shadows of the night. There's like actual monsters and ghouls in this shit, but it's like slapsticky in a Raimi way.
It is
like the one ghoul like continuously keeps jamming her like old crusty finger up the dude's nose, and at one point like her fingernail breaks off and he finds it in his nose later and shit.
Isn't that how she gets his soul out or something like that?
No, she's just being a dick.
Oh, I don't know. For some reason, I thought that.
There's some good scary imagery in this thing. The monsters look cool. It's a very low budget movie, but it doesn't really like get affected by that. I was willing to watch it again. I had already seen it once, but Kelly wanted to check it out, so I was like, "Yeah, sure, that was a fun movie. I'll check it out." So I watched it twice now, and I enjoyed it. They also made the last segment of the new VHS 99. Which was my favorite entry in the whole thing.
I liked that.
Not sure if you watched it, Germ, but the last one.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, this one I shouldn't like, but I kind of love the charm of it. It really like brings you in, and you're supposed to kind of hate the main character, but still root for him a little bit. And the guy kind of did a good job because he was douchey, but you still wouldn't want to see him die.
Yeah.
So I would give this thing 3.5. Definitely worth checking out. I loved it.
Yeah, it was fun. It definitely had like a drag me to hell, Evil Dead sort of energy to it, especially towards the end.
Like, don't expect it to be that good. We're not comparing it to Raimi films because it's as good as a Raimi film, but it has a similar sense of humor.
Yeah,
and the way it handles its monsters and its characters. Like it's playful and
you can see an influence there, if anything, but yeah.
Well, to piggyback on what you said about VHS 99, my favorite vignette was Ozzy's Basement, which was directed by Flying Lotus, which if you've seen, I think he's only done one feature-length film.
That's not the most recent one.
No?
Yeah, there's a new one.
Oh, wait, no, yes, it was. Never mind. You're right. Yes.
Which one?
Ozzy's the one that was set up like Nickelodeon Guts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was okay.
Yeah, that was the most recent one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my favorite one too.
And I just love how everything he does is like totally bonkers and off the wall. And if
this movie is nuts.
You've seen Kuso then?
Yes.
I love it.
I have not.
I love it. It's so bizarre. And I mean, the title of the film is Japanese for shit. So if you've watched it, a lot of the movie is about feces. And but just to see him back directing genre cinema, doing that vignette, doing that segment in VHS 99 made me really happy, because while I was watching it, I was like, this seems very similar. It's so gross and so over the top. And I had to look it up, and I was like, that's that Flying Lotus. I want to see more from that guy. So I was happy.
I thought in VHS, a lot of the stories were pretty strong. The one that didn't land for me was the one about the female punk band. I thought that
was the weakest for me too. My favorite one was the Buried Alive one with the girls in the sorority in the cemetery. How they buried the one girl and try like a hazing prank or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, that felt like what you would see in a full length 80s horror film. Because there was always fraternities and sororities and hazing in those films. And that felt like something you would see in one of those movies. So I like that too.
You're up to bat, Germ.
Oh, sure. Well, last night I rewatched a movie that I feel like if you don't like this movie, we can't be friends. It is VelociPastor. Have you seen VelociPastor?
I sure have.
God. It is brilliant. I had first seen it at the Windy City Horrorama Film Festival, and you don't know anything about any of the movies that are playing for this film festival, and so when it comes on, I was blown away. It's a pastor who gets cut by, was it like a dinosaur talon or a velociraptor talon, and becomes, a pastor who is also a velociraptor. And, but like the whole aesthetic of the film is like, we don't have any money and it's okay. You're going to still think this is great. And I did, because it's hilarious and it's just so much fun. That all the movies I'm talking about, I guess, tonight is just like, it's fun, and you don't have to think about it too much. It's just there to enjoy. But when I was posting about it last night while I watched the film, one of my friends was like, "Oh, are you contributing to the Kickstarter for part 2?" I was like, "What? There's going to be a part 2? Very exciting! Can't wait for that. That'll be a lot of fun." Yeah, I mean, it was nice when I used to write for Daily Grindhouse. I was a contributor for that website, so I'd always have press passes to different film festivals, and I would get that very, very pretentious, prestigious honor of saying, "Well, I saw that in the theater with the director, a year before you got to see it on Netflix," and that was one of those films that I was just like, "Oh my God, you guys got to see this!" But what was it? A couple months ago, I saw it on sale online for like $4.99 for the Blu-ray, and I'm like, I got to have this in my collection,
Absolutely. You'll find your and I's tastes align quite greatly. I have a tendency to be attracted to the shittiest of the shitty in a fun way.
Yeah.
Like the night I watched VelociPastor, I backed it up with Killer Sofa. I'm not sure if you've seen that one.
Did. Yeah.
It was a great back-to-back.
Right.
Hell yeah.
I also I want to say it's called Mutant Apocalypse. I saw it at the same film festival. It's a Spanish film put out by Troma. Troma distributed it, but it did it originally.
They bought it and distributed it.
Yeah. I want to say it's called Mutant Apocalypse. Yeah, it's very similar in the style of, we don't have any money, but you're still going to love this movie. And it's completely bonkers.
Have you seen Crabs with an exclamation point?
I have not. That sounds great.
You need to see Crabs with an exclamation point. I've already covered it on a previous episode, but it is
Chris, you have
beyond
to say it right.
funny. Crabs!
There you go.
I mean, this thing goes full Power Rangers kaiju by the end of it. It is
I love that.
so fantastically dumb.
I love
and
that.
they have this. I looked into it. There's this foreign character. I think his name's Raji or something. And he was supposed to just be a bit player in this thing, but he was so funny and fun. They brought him in for the whole fucking movie.
Okay.
He makes the movie. So Crabs. Check that out.
Okay. Cool. Is it an American film or is it?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, it's brand new. And they're not like the crabs you typically think of, like the Dungeness with the spider legs. They're like the horseshoe style ones. So they're like with the long tails and shit.
Oh, shit. Like more like lobsters?
No, like the ones you see that look like a horseshoe with like a long spiny tail, almost like the tail of the from like Aliens.
Is that streaming on somewhere?
I'll send you a link.
Okay. Say it like that. I'm gonna Google it now just to see.
Crabs
with an exclamation point.
Yeah, the cover should just be a bunch of horseshoe crabs bloody on a beach.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
You got anything else, Kelly, before we get to our main movie?
I did watch one more. The 2022. It's a new one on Shudder. Sissy. It's about this girl. She's a social media influencer. She, she's kind of a loner. She's been through some shit as a child. That comes out later in the movie. But she's out in a grocery store. She runs into her ex-childhood best friend. And her best friend's getting married and wants her to take a weekend getaway and for her bachelorette party. Well, once she gets there, she realizes that her childhood bully is there. And this basically comes kind of a revenge film. It's fun. It's pretty gory. It's another like pretty fast-paced one. I enjoyed this one. The girl when she's at the party or the bachelorette party, the girl kind of starts being a dick to her. She's like, why the fuck is this bitch here? And she has like a big scar on her cheek. Apparently when she was a child, one girl, the main girl, Cecilia, the social media girl, she kind of freaked out on the other girl and stabbed her in the face with a shovel as a child. And
It would be kind of hard to get over.
Yeah. So
I might be a little fucking annoyed if that happened to me.
Kind of because a little bit of a revenge flick, and it's like, who's actually crazy here? Sort of, I don't want to go into too much detail, but I'd give this about a 3.5. It was fun. 3.5. It's on Shudder, Sissy, 2022.
Good to know. That's another one I've been meaning to check out. So
yeah,
that's good to know that. And what is it? Run? What is it? Run? The one you
Run,
suggested?
Sweetheart,
Run, Sweetheart, Won't Run. Yeah, that was fun. That was fun.
I keep thinking of the no budget rape revenge film Run Bitch Run, which I'm guessing is nothing like this movie.
No. This takes this one takes more of a little takes more of a supernatural turn. I didn't mention that about Run Bitch, but it does. That's the most I'm saying. Yep. But yeah.
Well, I'm gonna hit on something kind of lightly. Hit on something kind of lightly, not do like a full review of it, but I have been really enjoying, and I showed Kelly a couple episodes, the Cabin of Curiosities, Del Toro's new show on Netflix.
I've been watching that all day now.
It is fantastic. I utterly love this series. What they did was Del Toro found what he thinks are the most cutting edge filmmakers out there right now doing horror, gave them a budget and let them do whatever the hell they wanted to do. It's very much like a
night gallery,
or like a Tales from the Crypt kind of thing. Del Toro does an intro to each one of them, kind of like Hitchcock.
Yeah, he does.
They gave like some of the standouts, like Panos Cosmatos got an episode. The guy that did Mandy and Beyond the Black Rainbow, and he fucking knocked that thing out the park.
So good.
And The Girl Who Walks Alone at Night, I did watch that episode. I do fucking love it.
That's my favorite.
I knew you would love that one.
Yeah,
that's my favorite. It's just like so smart and like talks just like the sort
commentary
of about like beauty standards and like fitting.
I love it.
You're so smart, so well done. And I love the girl. A Girl Walks Alone at Night, because to me, at least, I didn't know that it wasn't shot in the Middle East when I first watched it, and it just felt like very revolutionary.
Yeah,
like a Middle Eastern female vampire riding a skateboard. I was like, this movie's amazing.
Yeah, that movie's badass, man.
Yeah.
It is.
When I tell people like it's a revolutionary, I'm like, maybe
absolutely.
Not so much, but it just felt that way when I watched it originally. So
you guys have all heard me gush endlessly about how much I like The Empty Man. They let him do one called The Autopsy, which I very much enjoyed. I showed it to Kelly. Mm-hmm. That one was a different big swing, and they really knocked it out of the park in my eyes.
The casting was so good too.
Yes,
the cast,
Mary Abraham.
Oh my God.
Hell yeah!
So I'm not going to do a full review. There's no need to. All I'm going to say is this one I'll give 5 stars. This is a 5-star series.
Yeah, I agree.
Series, yeah, absolutely.
From what I've seen so far, and I'm not.
There are highs and lows.
Mm-hmm.
But when it shines, it really fucking shines. And even when it's at its lows, the lows are much higher than most shows get.
I love anthology series like this. I love Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side, Creep Show. I love this shit. Like, these are some of my favorite things, and you knew that. That's why you're like, Kelly, this is made for you. How have you not watched that yet?
I literally had to sit her ass down and be like, listen, this is made directly for you. Watch this shit. And the first one I showed her was The Autopsy.
Well, and I love that they got, Del Toro got, like, directors that are making amazing cinema as it is. You know what I mean?
An original cinema.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Masters of Horror, where it was like these really big name established horror directors.
Yeah.
Cool. That series was great, but to have more cutting edge, more current
more newer,
it was so smart. It was such a great turn, because like until I started like looking on IMDb, I'm like, who did this one? Who did that one? I'm like, holy shit, this is an all-star filmmaking,
right?
Yeah, because even
not only that, the cast they get are top shelf too.
Yeah, I mean, all like well-known character actors. I mean, it's the type of actors that are like, I know them from somewhere. Let me find out where. But at the same time, that's why I loved uh, the Girl Walks Alone Home at Midnight episode.
Mhm.
Now I can't think of it.
I believe it was called The Outside
Outside, yeah.
Yeah, I think
because
so.
it was what she was dealing with on the outside, not
Mhm.
what was inside.
Oh, look at you. Look at the big brain on Brad.
I look for like subtext and everything I watch, man.
Same
It's
here.
one of the things that drove Pondo nuts. He called my movies art films because I like stuff that's smart.
Anyways, yeah, no, I love that subtext about that film, and but the cast, like the two main leads, were like they're big name comedic actors, and when you take comedic actors and you put them in dramatic roles, I think that makes it so much more powerful because you turn on the episode and you're like, oh, these guys are silly as fuck. It's going to be hilarious, and then it's got a little bit of humor, but it's way more, it's way deeper. I mean, it reminded me of Videodrome and The Stuff. It was like The Stuff meets Video.
Yeah, the Stuff's a good comparison because the Stuff doesn't bonk you over the head with it, but it's there like heavily.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I mean, look, fucking Eric Andre shows up, you know, like, and you expect him to be Pizza Ball and Ranch Bro.
Yeah.
You know,
when I saw Eric Andre, I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. Like,
and then Peter Weller shows up.
Yeah.
Oh my God. RoboCop.
Yeah, it was so good, so good. Both my two favorite episodes, but the autopsy one's great too.
Yeah.
What I found a little disappointing was the murmuring.
I didn't see that one yet.
It's the last one.
Around.
It's the last one. I think like it's disappointing to me just because when I saw the director was the same director, she did the Babadook and the Nightingale, and I'm like, oh, I love both those movies. And I say,
the Nightingale was intense.
Oh my God, I loved it.
I didn't see that
everything,
one. I'll let you borrow it.
Everything in the murmuring was very predictable, and it's like, this is. I expected something more, something. Crazy.
I really enjoyed the first one, Lot 36. The actor they had as the main actor, I forget his name, but he's played Buster Scruggs. He's in a lot of the Coen Brother movies.
Yeah.
And they made him a racist asshole, and that's like usually the complete opposite of what he's played. Normally, he's like a lovable dimwit.
Right.
And like he's like an alcoholic who owes a bunch of money, and he's a scumbag. And that I really liked that one. That one definitely had some Lovecraftian stuff, but that being the first episode, I was like, all right, this show gets it. Like, this is gonna be something cool, because also, like, I love Tales from the Crypt, but Tales from the Crypt felt like you were watching TV. Like the budget wise and set wise, it always felt like you were watching TV. This felt like you're watching a movie. Even if it's not movie length, it felt like you were actually watching a movie.
I thought it was interesting that each episode is listed on Letterboxd as like a separate thing.
Nice. Yeah, I need to use that app more.
I use it all the time. And what's cool about Letterboxd is if you look a movie up that you want to see, it'll show you exactly where it's streaming. But also if you start adding your friends and they're watching stuff and you don't know what to watch, you could look to see like what they gave this, and this, and it will give you an idea what to watch. I love Letterboxd.
Yeah. I did enjoy that a lot of the episodes were Lovecraftian in nature because
they did fucking Dreams in the Witch House.
Right? I was so stoked. Like, as soon as that flashed across with the screen, Dreams in the Witch House, I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be dope as fuck, because I love that story. And then when they did it for the Masters of Horror episode, like they sort of modernized it. And I was like, okay, I was kind of expecting something like that, and it was totally different, which was great. I love that, there was at least there's two different major interpretations of that story.
Well, you have your Stuart Gordon, who was Mr. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
He did your Dagons, your Reanimators, your From Beyonds, Dreams of the Witch House. Like he was the H.P. Lovecraft guy, and with him and Brian Usna. So it was cool to see somebody else's interpretation, because you're not getting a lot of other people's interpretations right now. Like Del Toro tried to take At the Mountains of Madness.
That would have been
there's a podcast I listen to called Best Movies Never Made, And what they do is they bring guests on and they read the scripts, and each person gets a role. And they did the one that Del Toro had written for At the Mouse of Madness, or At the Mountains of Madness, and it would have been so awesome. Right. But I could also see why it didn't get made, because he didn't pull any punches, and it would have been really fucked up with mutant penguins and all kinds of shit everywhere. And it would have cost a lot of money, and it would have been for a niche audience. So I get it,
right?
But it was awesome.
It's kind of like if they tried to include like that the world like sits on a turtle's back, and that's the only thing that can kill it. If they include that in the movies, it wouldn't really work. And if Del Toro was trying to stick strictly to the source material, I could see why the studio's like, maybe not.
Yeah,
I'm gonna send you a link though. Go check out the podcast for it, because they do read the full script.
Okay.
And in reading the script, they have someone reading the stage direction and shit too. So you do kind of get an idea of exactly what he was going for. And it would have been a very cool movie with like through his lens, because he has a really cool way of doing like monsters and all that shit. I would have really loved to see it, but anybody got anything else before we hit spoiler town? Because I think we all have 3 different opinions of the movie that we're going to talk about tonight. So this might get interesting.
Well, I just wanted to when you said Lovecraft, what is it? The one with Nicolas Cage, not Mandy.
Colors Out of the Dark.
Out of Space.
Oh
Colors Out of Space. Colors Out of Space.
Okay.
I thoroughly enjoyed that H.P.
Lovecraft. I loved it.
Yes.
Yeah, I did too.
Utterly loved it.
I didn't expect to. Went into it blind, and I loved it. So smart, so well done. But okay,
you know what was really fun? Also, before we go to our main movie here, which is going to be Halloween Ends, I did not know there was a new Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie. I watched it today, and Carl goes full The Thing in it.
Oh wow!
Like
nice,
like arms splitting apart, like 8 turning into 8 legs, head like rotate around, like, and it's called the Plantasm instead of Phantasm.
Nice.
It's about plant people. It's very horror oriented. It's not as funny as the old Aqua Teen movie, but it was fun. I had a lot of fun with it.
And now for our feature presentation.
You guys ready to get to it? We're gonna spoil the shit out of this movie. So if you haven't seen Halloween Ends yet, go watch it and come back, because one of us hates it, one of us likes it, and one of us really loves it. So come back and find out who's who.
Just come back. As long as you come back.
You gotta come in a back.
Oh, God. You gotta get me horny.
Ooh. All right. So Halloween Ends, David Gordon Green, 2022. So we just gonna put up there who's who and who likes it, who hates it, who liked or who loves it.
If you follow me on Facebook, I'm sure you've seen my opinion of it. I'm not a fan.
Kelli hates it. I like it.
I love it.
Loves it.
I think it's genius. Pure genius. It's my favorite in the Halloween universe.
Wow.
Well, like more so than the original Halloween, though?
It's not my least favorite in the Halloween universe, but
what would be your least favorite? Let's just start there.
Fucking Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Nothing is worse than Sherry Moon haunting his dreams on this stupid ass fucking white horse. I'm sorry. That was just like, she was just written in there just for another excuse just to give her a role. I
think his and the Busta Rhymes one are like neck and neck for the worst.
I have always said that I hated the Busta Rhymes one, Resurrection. Yes. And I still think it's the worst, but I recently rewatched it because when you despise something, you've got to remember why. And the first kill in it is a great homage to the film, I think it was 1960 film Peeping Tom, which when that moment happened, I felt like that meme of Leonardo DiCaprio, where I was just like, oh, well, that's cool. That is actually really great.
But the real question is, though, why would they do that for the audience they had?
Right.
What dimension film watching, like that at the time when Dimension was like kind of dumbing down everything and kind of like, so you put like a beautiful shot that is parodying Peeping Tom, which is a classic art film.
Yeah.
And the Halloween Busta Rhymes vehicle.
And Tyra Banks.
The rest of the movie
Tyra Banks.
Garbage. It's hot garbage. But that like threw me off when I rewatched it recently. I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. It's still the worst in the series, but
I disagree. I don't. The thing I did, at least, I mean, it's the worst up until Rob Zombies came out. I agree with that. But it fit the story, man. It fit the story that the ridiculous story that they've built over the years. Like, it didn't shy away from that. Michael always comes back to his house. The thing that sucked about it is it was like at the time where reality shows and shit were becoming new. So they're trying to set up a reality show in the Myers house and Busta Rhymes and Tyra Banks is the host. That's what made it cheesy. But as far as a Halloween film, it fit the story. It fit, 100%.
And the whole story arc of a reality show was topical at the time. So, I mean,
yeah,
that was legitimate.
It was legit for the times. The Busta Rhymes kicking Michael's ass at the end pissed a lot of people off then. It was really fucking stupid. It's still stupid now, but it's not, in my opinion, I think there's worse Halloween movies.
Fair enough. I mean, until I saw Halloween Ends, my favorite was Season of the Witch. So
I love Season of the Witch, too.
Season of the Witch was my second favorite.
We're all fans of Season of the Witch here. Yeah. I thought you were about to pull off a scene.
Oh, if you want me to, I can.
I thought you were going to explain.
I recently got the Season of the Witch masks tattooed on my body.
Nice. All right.
Silver Shamrock. For those just listening, Germ has taken off his jacket, stood up, and pulled his shirt up to expose a brand new stomach tattoo of the three masks by Silver Shamrock for Season of the Witch. Yeah. So, I mean, let's get into it, guys. We all have very different opinions. I don't know how to start this conversation because we all do. I have a feeling that this could get really combustible or that we could make good points to each other. But I guess we'll see where it goes. Kelly, why don't we start with you with the most vitriol? What did you hate about the film?
What did I hate about it? I don't like the direction, actually, any of the new ones in recent years have went, although I did like 2018 a lot. I think of the three that they've made, that was by far the best one. I don't like the direction that they took or Rob Zombie took in humanizing Michael. The thing about Michael Myers is he's always been a supernatural force driven by evil. And like you said earlier, Germ, you don't like movies that explain too much. I feel like they've ruined Michael Myers by fucking trying to explain too much. Now in this new trilogy, he's just an old man that's kind of a pussy. And
Kelly, hold on. Not to interrupt you, but aren't you the one that really likes the Thorn storyline?
It wasn't the Thorn part that I like. I liked how they brought Tommy. I liked Paul Rudd as Tommy Doyle. I liked how they showed him as an older adult. The Thor story, that was the lamest part of that entire movie. Besides that, I enjoyed that movie.
I'm not gonna lie. I dug the Cult of Thor.
Yeah, I didn't hate
the movie either, but she's going on the not liking over explanation, and that's all that movie was. It's we can explain this thing to the moon and back.
Okay, you make a good point there, but
that's the only reason I brought it up.
I don't like the idea of humanizing Michael, and then that's what everybody's point when I said I hate that. They're like, "What? Do you want to just see an old man running around killing people?" I'm like, "No, I don't like the fact that you're telling me he's an old man and he's fucking, getting too old." And he's passing the torch. That's what I don't like about it. I like the supernatural mystery that was driven by pure evil trying to kill his family. That's why I don't like the new one.
All right, should we go to me next since I like it but don't love it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you done, Kelly? You can go.
I was gonna say, had this story been not part of the whole Halloween franchise, I might have enjoyed it a little, I just don't like what they did to Michael. I don't know. I think they turned him into an old bitch, and I hate it.
Michael, you old bitch.
Anyway.
All right.
Proceed.
I like this movie for what it is. Do I think it should have been Halloween Ends, the end of that, like the big final showdown of Jamie and Michael? No, because that's not really what this movie was about. This movie was about something completely different, and it was about grief, and it was about paranoia, and it was about what trauma does to people.
I get that.
And it felt like the Michael Myers of it, or the aspect of it, had to be shoehorned in the end because it was Halloween Ends.
Mm-hmm.
At the same token, there are things I did not like about it. Like, all right, first off, there are things I liked about it. One, I give him credit for having the absolute balls to take this swing at this movie. You know, like, be like, we know people are going to fucking hate this thing. We don't care. This is what we're doing. And it also still is a nod to the original series. The first movie was very much the first movie in Halloween. Second movie all took place in a hospital, like Halloween 2. The third movie wasn't much to do about Michael Myers. The same with this. You know, Michael, I don't think came in about 45 minutes in. With that being said, I really respect them for what they tried to do. I really loved a lot of what they did do. A lot of things that didn't land with me is why she was all in on this guy with such little time. You know, like, this movie takes place over 3 days, and she's like, I love this man. You know, like,
yeah.
Like, it felt a little forced and too fast. You know what I'm saying? B, we're supposed to believe this guy's overpowered and beating up Michael Myers, but the entire time we're watching getting bullied by band camp kids, not like jocks or like like, they had the kids literally in their band camp outfits, and they're throwing them off bridges and beating them up. But he has no problem killing the dick out of people and getting Michael Myers down. That did bug me a little bit, but I do get storyline wise how they got to that point too. This one's a big mixed bag for me. When I first watched it, I was dumbfounded by the time the credits rolled. I was one of the first of my friends to all watch it. I came home from work. It went live on Peacock at 7:00. I got home at 7:30 and I watched it. No one else had seen it yet. And I was like in the chat with these guys, and they're like, well, what'd you think? And I was like, I'm fucking dumbfounded. I don't even know what to say right now. Because there was no that pre-warning that everyone else got. Like, they went a complete different direction with this fucking thing, you know? So I'm not sure if I was even ready for it. And then I sat back, just kind of like letting it all sink in. I think as part of this series, it is not satisfying end for what this series should have been. I think the series should have been the one movie. I don't think it needed Halloween Kills. I don't like Halloween Kills. I thought Halloween Kills sucked. I'm sorry.
Same. I was
wasn't a good movie
by that one as well.
I like this, but it could have been a one-off where it didn't have the showdown with Laurie and Michael at the end. It could have been how his presence looms over the city and how it affects everybody, and the grief affects everybody. And this is the output of trauma and like shared trauma, and like how it fucks everybody up, and like how it could tear families apart and all this shit. I think that would have been a much more interesting movie if you didn't have to shoehorn the ending of Michael Myers into the end, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
However, go on. I'm sorry, Jim.
I was just gonna say that I think everything you said makes a lot of sense.
I mean, like, a lot of people that are hating this, I want you to take a step back and look at this movie if it wasn't a Michael Myers movie. Like, if the guy in the sewer was just a serial killer, a mass serial killer that terrorized this town, if it wasn't Michael Myers without the preconceived notion, and it represented this diseased town and the disease that caused it, and it's spreading to a new generation, what you would actually think of this movie. Because I think a lot of people would actually really have liked what they did with this movie.
Yeah.
The fact that it's a Michael Myers Halloween movie, and this is the definitive end of Michael Myers, and it is definitive. They turn him into hot dog meat in the fucking end. So how could it not be definitive? I think that's that's where it kind of fucks up in my eyes. Like it should have been like how Spiral was to the Saw universe. Like it's in the universe of, and it takes place in the sphere of, but it's not like the definitive end. You know what I'm saying? And that's just my opinion. So Germ, the lover, you're up.
I would say that everything you said, I agree with for the most part. And I think that I love it so much because I've been working on my own personal mental health for the past few years, going to therapy, taking my meds, blah, 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 that like, whatever, and this is a habit of mine anyway, whenever a lot of people don't like something, I'll usually like it. And whenever somebody doesn't like, vice versa.
Yeah.
Like something, I'm not going to like it. So I already went into the theater like, oh my God, okay, this is going to be something I'll enjoy.
Yeah.
But when the movie started and there was no sign of Michael, it's a kid babysitter. Okay, it's kind of, it will be like Halloween, babysitter murderer.
Yeah, the babysitter. Yeah.
And then it took all these twists and turns, and I was like, oh shit, oh, this is awesome. And then like the more I thought about it, the more I was like, Michael Myers isn't. You see Michael Myers physically, but he's literally. I shouldn't say literally. He's metaphorically not in the movie at all. It's all metaphysical. I mean, he's a representation, and that's it. Like every interaction you see him with other characters isn't them and Michael Myers. It's them dealing with, like you were saying, trauma and grief and guilt and so on and so forth. Like I don't even believe that Corey was in the sewer. I think that was him falling into a place in his mind.
That's interesting. That's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah,
maybe I'll give it a second visit and kind of look at it from that perspective, because that is an interesting way to look at it.
I do think
even at the end where the whole town is sort of like crowd surfing Michael into the meat grinder, I'm like, well, to me, that was like a metaphor for group therapy. They're all coming together as a town and they're dealing with this event that tore them apart. This could have been about 9/11. All the New Yorkers coming together and talking about this horrible experience they went through.
Yeah.
That's how I saw them putting Michael into the grinder, the metal grinder. It wasn't literally him going into the metal grinder. It was
symbolically
coming together. Yeah. Yes. It was all for me at least, it was all 100% symbolism. It was all metaphors. And like, that's why I didn't look at it on a literal term.
Yeah, I think I was looking at it definitely more literal, and I definitely see the symbolism there. And like Chris said, if this weren't a Halloween movie or Halloween Ends, or even if it was the same universe, I'd probably still appreciate it more, but like calling it Halloween Ends, I don't know. I see both of your points.
It did deliver on that though.
Yeah.
And I also love the soundtrack. I don't think it was very believable, but like at the party in the small town bar, they're playing Dead Kennedy's song Halloween. And then the small town radio host is playing a Cramps song.
Yeah, the soundtrack was great.
Soundtrack is great. And I really appreciated the score too. And then I thought that a lot of the cinematography reminded me of like 80s-ish David Lynch. God, what is the movie I'm thinking of with Nicolas Cage?
Wild at Heart?
Yes. It kind of reminded me of Wild at Heart, with these two lovers that have a lot of problems and the motorcycle and all that. So when I'm seeing David Lynch and I'm hearing punk rock and I'm, getting all these images and sounds that I enjoy and like thought-provoking ideas. That's what made me love the film so much.
I get that. Halloween has always been my favorite franchise of, like, Chris knows this, ever since I was little. Personally, I would have rather have seen a rivalry movie between Loomis and Michael than Laurie and Michael. They've had much of a deeper past together. And even though with Donald Pleasance being dead, I think they still could have pulled it off. And maybe somebody will someday. Who knows? But still, like, pulled it off as, like, maybe a relative of Loomis, as a, you know, like they did in The Satanic Rites of Dracula with, you know,
Christopher Lee.
Yeah, Van Helsing's son, you know, or Van Helsing's relative coming back to still fight Dracula. They could have did something like that. I don't know, and I'd like to see something like that. But I think the Loomis rivalry, as far as the entire franchise goes way deeper than the Laurie and Michael rivalry. And I'd like, I don't know. I think if you were gonna pick up the franchise, maybe I should get into filmmaking. But if you're gonna pick up the franchise, that would be a cool route I'd like to see.
One of the other things, I don't know if you this, did you guys notice the similarities to Christine?
Yes. Yeah.
There were a lot. There was a lot of Christine homage going on.
Besides David Lynch, I picked up on a lot of like 80s Stephen King films. You know, that aesthetic of a kid getting bullied and, you know, fighting back and like sort of going off the
well, the stepdad gives him a bike, but instead of the car, and like even the chain link fence kill from Christine's in this.
Yeah. Oh shit! I didn't even notice.
There's, but that's also a connection because not only is it Stephen King, but John Carpenter directed that. Yeah, and I also did like the nod that in the beginning, in the original Halloween, the kids were watching the original The Thing, and in this one, they're watching John Carpenter's The Thing.
Right.
Which also is weird to think about. That means that John Carpenter exists in this world, which means also Halloween exists in this world.
That's pretty funny.
That's kind of like in Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, in the gas station,
with the ad, yeah.
Gas station attendant is watching the original Halloween on TV. So yeah,
also
very meta.
Also, I think this is a bit of a situation where it's like, when the original Halloween 3 came out, it's not what anyone wanted. And then after a while, the shock of it subsided and people started being able to watch it for what it was. Because if you knock all the bullshit off, if you take the title off it, it's a John Carpenter movie when he's in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
It just so happens to be called Halloween 3, not Silver Shamrock or what the fuck ever, you know, like the mass murders or dumb
Season
shit.
of the Witch.
Season of the Witch. I mean, well, Romero already did that, but
yeah, that's a good one too.
But what I'm saying is, I think that this is such a culture shock, especially Halloween. It falls into one of those big budget movies that draws larger crowds than just horror fans, and I think this one also is like a bit of an artsy slap to the face of those people. Like, well,
I love a slap to the face sometimes.
One of my favorite things, honestly, has been watching people's vitriol towards this film. Yeah. Like, people freak out. It makes me laugh because it's like, it's still just a movie. And there are worse Halloween movies.
Right. There's,
it's not like there's not going to be more Halloween movies.
No,
you know, like they're going to keep going. They're going to make more. So, like,
yeah, whatever makes money, they're going to keep
slice it out as what it is and watch it for what it is. Yeah. And there is a rich subtext to it.
Yeah.
Some of it fails in tone with me. The kills are great.
The kills are great.
Like,
the kills are great.
If
and
you
it
can,
was well done.
If you can disassociate yourself that sometimes the guy behind the Michael Myers mask isn't Michael Myers, but you're still seeing the Michael Myers shape kill people, like the radio DJ. The radio DJ was probably one of the most rugged kills in the whole new trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'll defend it. It probably goes for me Halloween 3, Halloween 4, 2, and then this.
That's legit.
That's a hard one to order. I'd probably go 1, 3, probably is same. I like 4 and 5, and those go back to back. So
5 gets rough for me.
5, 6 is the one where, and then maybe 6, then maybe 2. I don't know. It's a hard one to order for.
I didn't like anything that Rob Zombie did with this series. So those
No,
are
I really
just
didn't.
bottom barrel to me.
Yeah, those are about him.
I'm a big fan of Rob Zombie's films, so I can't say the same thing. The one thing I
did you like Halloween 2?
I have to rewatch it. I really do because I've only watched it once and I did not like it. I have to.
It's awful.
But the one thing I did like about Halloween Kills was the light tube spot. As a deathmatch wrestling fan, that made me pop. I was just like, oh!
It did make us pop too. Actually, we were both like,
you know what's funny is if it tells you how deathmatch we are. We were watching Smile, and at one point, a girl goes through a glass table and Smile, and she's all fucked up. I lean over to Kelly. I was like, I know what tempered glass does to people, and it ain't that.
Yeah, we were around Halloween. I had some friends over and watched. We watched, horror movies that take place on Halloween, and we watched this horror comedy called Gravy. And
I love Gravy. Yeah, fucking love that movie. It's so overlooked.
A lot of fight scenes in that movie are very deathmatch, very wrestling, very pro wrestling, and rewatching it with that mindset was like, holy shit, this is awesome! Like even better. The cast is great, the story's great, the soundtrack's great, but now it's got that wrestling element to it. I'm like, oh, I like it even more now. For me, that's gonna be one of the movies I watch every year, like Murder Party. I've got to watch Murder Party.
I reviewed Murder Party a couple episodes ago.
I fucking love Murder Party.
That's a good one. All right. Before we wrap this up, because we are starting to go really long. What do we think of Corey? Kelly, you're first.
I'm not a fan, man.
Not a fan of Corey.
Not a fan of Corey.
Germ.
Oh, I can't be, but at the same time, I feel bad for him. He is a victim.
I do feel bad, but
he's a victim of a bad decision made by the kid, and then the town hates him. And so, I don't like him, but I don't hate him either. I feel bad for him, and that's why I can understand why I can't remember the female character's name falls for him, because she wants somebody to take care of, and he's damaged, she's damaged, and that's why they can get along. So I don't like him, but I don't really dislike him either.
I see the connection they made with that. I just think that the love she had already was too much for 3 days.
Yeah. But
she was ready to fucking go to the ends of the earth with this guy. And at one point he literally walks up to her and is like, I killed somebody. And she's like, cool, let's go ride your motorcycle.
Right. I was comparing it before, Wild at Heart or Natural Born Killers even, it's got that, oh, I don't care. I like you. Whatever you do, it's fine. I'm gonna still stick by your side. But
I didn't really care much for the core character. I thought the Scarecrow mask was okay. The kills were cool. The story they were trying to tell, I got it, but I also think that they were flawed in how they told it. I think that they needed to, I don't feel bad for a guy that's getting bullied by nerds. It needed to be a threat that one guy who is much older than teenagers wouldn't be able to take on, which is 3 band camp guys. I would have.
But then he goes in there and beats up Michael. Guys. But if you look at it the way Germ mentioned, maybe that didn't even actually happen. Maybe that was just, and I didn't look at it that way. I don't know. I've only watched it the one time, and I think the initial shock of what the fuck is happening.
Kelly, I will say,
might need to go back.
It will benefit you to watch it a second time. And you will watch it different, knowing what's going on, and you will see a lot of different shit.
And I'll take a lot of you guys' points into consideration. More terms, and I already agree with what you said on most of it, but yeah.
Also, getting bullied by band camp kids or nerds. It's if it's taking place in present times, everybody's a nerd. It's cool to be a nerd. It's cool to have a mullet, But also, when you've suffered so much trauma, like the Corey character has, you're not going to stand up for yourself initially. It takes a breaking point before you're going to speak up for yourself. You will take all the punishment you can because you believe that you're supposed to, because you've been put down so much. So that's why he took all that punishment from nerds, is because he felt like he deserved it. So that's just an explanation.
No, it's and that makes a lot of sense.
It does. Actually, y'all made some good points,
Okay. Next question. Favorite kill?
Oh, geez. What is he's at the house of the doctor. I liked when he killed the
girl?
Yes, the girl, the secretary.
Okay.
That was a good
She had it coming.
Yes, and it's very reminiscent of...
I'm trying to remember. I'm sorry, probably the DJ, like you said, Chris. That was probably the best kill that I can remember so far. But yeah.
I'm going to get a lot of... Go ahead.
I watched it the night it came out, so I'm definitely going to have to rewatch it, because even as Germ said, even if you hate something, you got to rewatch it and see why you hate it. Yes. Remember why you hated it.
When Terrifier 2 comes to a streaming platform that I have, I might rewatch it, because I think it's just too long and it's got too much going on, but maybe I'll enjoy it watching it at home. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mine, and I'll get a lot of heat for this though, is the way they did the first kill, the kid he was babysitting, because the way that they presented it, I didn't see it coming, and it did make me go, oh shit. Like the parents come through the door, you hear the babysitter like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, and then you see wham! And like after the impact he sits up for a second and then just drops back down. I was just like,
yeah,
that one shocked the shit out of me. So that was my favorite kill. All right, so least favorite thing of the movie?
The fact that they humanized Michael and put him in a wood chipper and made him into a bitch ass old man.
Ripper?
I really can't think of anything that I didn't like about it. I'm sorry. I loved it.
My two things were the girl falling in love with him too fast. It just seemed too quick for her to be so all in on somebody, because they don't really know each other. Like it's hard for me to believe that, having relationships in my life. B, the first two movies that showed Lori as this paranoid, gun-toting, I'm ready for fucking business.
One. Yeah.
And that was why Michael was behind bars. Now, this one, Michael has killed people. He's got away. They have no idea what happened to him. And she's like, I got to live my life. I'm going to be fine. Yeah. It felt like she should have been that in the beginning when Michael comes back, and then been the gun-toting, nervous person in this one. You know what I'm saying? Because he is back and we don't know where the fuck he's at, and people are dead. So those are the two things that bothered me. Star rating, guys.
5, 10, 18, 20, all of them.
All of them.
Yes.
Kelly.
I gotta give it like a 1.5, 2. I don't know. I can't say that because it's for a movie. Like, if I'm gonna judge like the
don't
movie,
let our opinions bully you, Kelly.
I don't want to like judge it. Like as a movie, I'd probably give it like a 3. As a Halloween movie, I give it a 1. Man,
I give it 3.5.
Okay.
All right, I think that wraps up Halloween Ends. This is the first. This is a continued podcast, but this is the very first episode of Real Vile. So we hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us, Germ. I would like to plug that RPW is coming back November 26th to maybe Michigan with Death Right. Tickets are on sale now. Just go look up at all our socials. Anyone else have anything they want to plug or talk about?
No.
I'm currently working on my 12th short story for St. Rooster Books out of Portland. They've published all my short stories, which are, very punk rock, queer, sometimes body horror, sometimes Lovecraftian, sometimes slasher, sometimes torture. And when I reach number 13, special thing will happen. a collection of all my short stories will be coming out sometime in 2023. So I'm excited about that.
Is there anywhere that we can read your short stories now?
I don't know if there are any available for digital, but yeah, they're all available in print from St. Rooster Books.
Make sure you send us a link. We'll link it in the description for everybody if they want to buy.
I mean, most of them come out quarterly in their literary magazine, Stranger with Friction. So, yeah, definitely, I'll give you a link.
Yeah.
Other than that, I contribute mostly to the genre film website Neon Splatter for a monthly horror-themed fashion column called Buy or Die.
Nice.
All right. Kelli, you got anything?
Not really. The usual work shit.
All right. We will be back next week with another episode 2 of Real Vile. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the reformat, and we'll see you guys next week.
Woo!
Bye.
911.